Morena, Wairarapa. This is Move, Mingle and Play for Thursday, June the 3rd. And I'm very privileged to have Susan and Anthony with me today from Age Concern. And we're going to have a discussion about what's coming up next week, which is Elder Abuse Week, International Elder Abuse Week.
It's on the 15th. It starts on the 15th.
It starts on the 15th. Good morning.
Good morning.
It's also Samoan Language Week this week, and my son went to a Samoan concert last night and came back all fired up and tried to teach me a greeting in Samoan, so I'm just going to read that out. Ta lofa lava, vai aso li gagano Samoa. Pupao le lotoi fale, ola manuia, le ano fale. The last bit of it means strengthen the posts of your house for all to thrive. And that's the theme for Samoan Language Week. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, it is. And of course we have a lot of Samoans in our community now.
We do.
And they make a huge...
For
Yeah.
Una Williams, because their kaiako, their head kaiako is a Samoan male. And it's just awesome going in there. And a lot of the children are starting to speak Samoan as well, because that's her language.
Yes.
Māori, non-Māori, Samoan, non-Samoan.
Yes.
Speaking.
Yes.
Lava.
Yes.
Ah.
Yes.
Awesome.
And you only have to do it a few times, and then it becomes something you're more familiar with and have the response. The other thing Gabriel told me he'd noticed was that Samoan people are always smiling. And one of the first things they learn when they are taught to perform, the very first gesture, it's not about getting on the stage in the right place or moving in a particular way. It's the simple thing of you smile. And it's a good thing to remember, isn't it?
And if you smile at someone, obviously they're going to smile back at you, hopefully.
Yeah.
And don't forget, when you smile, it releases an endorphin, dopamine.
Yes. Is that what's happening?
Well, it starts the performance, but it doesn't, because if you smile, those good, chemicals are released. It's a good time.
Yes. But do you know where some of the chemicals come from?
Tell me.
They come from the bacteria in our gut.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the neurotransmitters. 90% of them are produced by bacteria that are actually inside us, but they're not really inside us because the gut is the outside world. It's only when you go across the mucous membrane, the intestinal membrane, that you're inside the body of the human being. So we've got these passengers, trillions of them. I mean, there's millions of varieties, and each variety has millions, and you add all that together and you get to billions of little organisms, and they've got a job to do, which is to make the chemicals that enable our nervous system to function.
I didn't know that, and that's really good to know, because they talk a lot about gut health. Now, this is a good reason why, especially for nutrition for old people.
Yes. And some old people have got into pretty bad habits with their nutrition, haven't they? They've kind of got away with eating toast and Marmite 3 times a day.
Yes.
But they're malnourished big time.
Yeah.
Hey, I thought we'd start by hearing from some old people, you might even call them old farts, who are some of my favourite musicians, and they're the Highwaymen. Should we have a go?
Yeah, we'll have, definitely.
Brings you down. It gets the better of you.
His lifeblood on my blade. The bastards hung me in the spring of 25, but I am still alive.
I was a sailor, I was born upon the tide, and with the sea I did abide. I sailed a schooner around the Horn of Mexico. I went aloft to furl the mainsail in a blow. they said that I got killed, but I'm living still. I was a dam builder, across a river deep and wide, where steel and water did collide. A place called Boulder on the wild Colorado. I slipped and fell into the wet concrete below. They buried me in that great tomb that knows no sound, but I am still around. I'll always be around and around and around and around and around and around and around. I'll fly a starship across the universe divide, and when I reach the other side, I'll find a place to rest my spirit if I can. Perhaps I may become a highwayman again, or I may simply be a single drop of rain, but I will remain, and I'll be back again and again and again and again and again and again.
The Highwayman. What about that, Susan? Anthony? Yeah.
Legendary.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was them in Las Vegas with one of their very famous signature songs. And it just goes to show that age is no barrier to creativity, is it? And having fun and joining in and doing things that entertain and being thoroughly involved.
Exactly.
So we've got World Elder Abuse Day starting on the 15th, which is a little way away, isn't it? Of course, it's not next week, it's the week after. Yeah.
Tuesday week, yes.
So how did it come about?
The World Elder Abuse Awareness Day, I just wanted to say that the actual day is Tuesday the 15th, but it runs for a whole week as well. Each year, World Elder Abuse Awareness Day is acknowledged in many countries through activities that bring attention to the issues of abuse, neglect and exploitation of older people. Campaigns promote better understanding of the harmful effects of elder abuse and neglect in every society. It came about in 2006. The United Nations General Assembly designated June the 15th as World Elder Abuse Awareness Day to represent the one day in the year when the whole world voices its opposition to abuse and suffering inflicted to some of our older generation. The public discussion created since then has led the UN to UN recognition that elder abuse is a public health and human rights issue. So it's expanded from that one day to the whole week, and it's all about having that intense period where we concentrate on how we're treating our older people and making sure that they are feeling loved and respected and valued, which is really important because as we know, as we get older, our world gets smaller, friends pass on, and it's important to keep those people connected to our communities. They're valued members. They've got lots of history behind them and lots of advice that they can pass on to the younger generation. And I think you find that in every ethnic group of people. The older people are the storytellers, and they're the ones that create that.
And they're the ones with time often too, to play with the children. As you say, read stories, take them for a walk in the garden, go and meet them at the park and watch them play.
I got a really nice quote. It said, "An older person in the house is a treasure for the family."
Yeah.
I thought that was really nice.
Yeah.
Just because of what they have inside them.
Yes.
The well of knowledge and experience
Yes.
to be able to hand down
Yeah.
And I know some, like in the Chinese culture, I am aware of some that once a baby is born, the grandmother comes over for a year.
Really?
Yep.
Yes.
And looks after
Everyone.
Yeah.
Yes.
And because when you look at it, for myself anyway, when I was a brand new father,
Yes.
I didn't know what to do really with the baby.
No. No.
And my wife, because it was our first baby.
Yeah.
But to have someone there to guide you and help you,
Yes.
and that's not only for children, that's for everything we do, really.
Yeah. So it could be a prevention for postnatal depression.
It can be.
And men experience postnatal depression as well, not just women who've had babies. It can be a thing that a couple really struggle with their new baby or with the third or fourth one. Things are too much suddenly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's all that experience coming in to help and support.
So just thinking about the life, the experience of an older person in which they can become abused. I mean, they're coping with often huge changes, aren't they? With their health, as you say, losing their friends, losing their older family members, and having to move house often. They've got to downsize. There might be quite big financial changes that go with not working for, like, it's now 10 years since either of them worked. And there could still be adjustment to that. Yeah.
All that's, as you said, is part of loss and grief.
Yes. Yeah.
And so when you are grieving, it's not good to be alone. But a lot of the times we think that's okay because we don't see it as a death as such, when actually it is of a life, of a world that I once lived. Yeah. But to be able to create, as you said, with the highwaymen, they're still old and they're still creating. Yeah, so if we're allowed to create in the comfort and with family, friends, the grief process isn't that bad.
No, exactly. Well, the creating gets you into the present, doesn't it?
It does.
You're involved right now with breathing, moving,
Yes.
and your mind's there, with being awake and active in the moment.
Yes.
And of course, the trap is to actually be distracted by the past or the future and not attend to the present.
Yeah, it's all about having plans ahead. I find that a lot of older people, they use their calendar for their inspiration for the day. What have I got on next week? What have I got on next month?
Yes.
And I think it's really important for older people. I think working with children sort of inspires you and reflects on your younger days. And I think older people that support and help our families with our children, tamariki, it does inspire them and it gives them that new lead on life, and it does give them things to look forward to.
Yeah.
It's all about valuing. It gives them value. Gives us value.
So perhaps we could talk a little bit about environments in which abuse takes place.
Sure.
and what abuse actually looks like.
I think that one of the main themes of this week is that it hits close to home. Abuse hits close to home, and I think that's the important part of it. Any sort of abuse is normally behind closed doors, and with our elder people, at the moment, as you say, they're downsizing with our housing issue at the moment throughout New Zealand. A lot of families are coming back to live with their elderly parents. And that's when, that those subtle abuses start, like maybe that person has lived on their own for quite some time, and all of a sudden they've got, the grandkids living there, their children living there. There's a change in what they can watch on TV, which quite often, you get into that routine and you like to do certain things at certain times of day, and that sort of thing gets changed without any consultation or, hey mum, hey dad, is it okay if we, eat our meals at certain, these certain times because the kids have to eat earlier. It becomes quite subtle to start with. But financial is definitely probably one of the leading causes of abuse, and that can happen, just by you're not contributing to that home environment when you've moved in with your mum and dad, or you know, taking a few extra things on the shopping list that you know, mum has given you their card and you know their PIN number, and you're adding a few of your own personal items to that. Those little subtleties can that is abuse. So you know, we need to be aware of that.
And often there's a breakdown in communication, isn't there? There might not be the good habits of taking time to talk things through and make sure that an agreement has actually been reached. You know, it's like, I want to do this, so I'll just mention it quickly, or maybe not at all, allude to it, and then get on with it and do it. And then the older person's left suddenly hit by this change, which has quite an effect on them, and they weren't included in the decision making.
And that's it. They weren't included in the decision making. And so where's their voice in this? Nowhere. Yeah. Oh no, mum will be fine. Did you ask mum or dad? And it's the same like Susan said about the shopping. Okay, so we put it in. We just put. Oh no, that's all right. Sure, they don't mind if we take a few things, and then. But how much money do they earn?
Yeah.
Where's the income coming from?
Yeah.
It's not going to be increased.
And what else do they want to do with the money? And suddenly they can't because it's gone.
It's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. So financial abuse, even with EPOAs, enduring power of attorneys, you know. Sometimes there's no consultation with the older person. You know, I'll sell the house because they don't need it anymore, and so they sell the house.
And we'll put mum into a retirement home, and we'll build a new house. You know, those sorts of things are out there in our community.
Really,
Yeah. So it's really. Yeah.
So what role do you play in that? Are you kind of like advisors? Do you get involved with counselling people, or are you more just coming along to offer resources that can be used by either party or anybody involved?
In our role, I've found a lot of situations where we advocate for the older person.
Yeah.
Quite often someone has, whether it be a neighbour or another relative, is concerned about how their older person is being treated, whether it be, you know, maybe the financial or, you know, they've maybe heard some verbal abuse over the fence. And it's all about us being able to support that person. Then we're hoping that a wraparound service that we provide helps, you know, support families in financial stress that might relieve the abuse that's happening at the time. So, yeah, very inclusive and supportive for all of those that are involved in that situation, but obviously aiming to empower the older person and support them as well.
Sometimes it's just being with the family and educating the family of what actually is happening. Because I might think to myself, well, actually, I'm doing good for my mum. You know, this is the good thing for her. But not consulting her. I think it's good, but she might not. I don't take into consideration what she wants. You know, because I think I know best, and that education to the family is helpful because they go, I didn't realise that. Like we said about putting extra things on the grocery list. I didn't realise that. So, yeah, but it's my mum. She doesn't mind. Yeah, but that's not the point of it.
No.
Yeah,
No.
and so they go, oh, okay. So getting beside the family and working things out with them as well, showing them, giving them an insight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. So, with Elder Abuse Week, what sort of events have you got organised to promote the awareness of your service and of the issues?
So we're having display boards at critical areas such as
Talk to your microphone.
the Wairarapa Hospital. In their foyer there, we're going to have a display board there because we do have a lot of public people, you know, people coming into outpatients and visiting friends and relatives. Hopefully they'll have a look at that and, you know, be able to take away some pamphlets. I guess because it hits close to home and you know, a lot of it's behind closed doors, making just the general public aware that elder abuse is out there and in our communities. So hopefully they will see those displays. There's also going to be one at the WINS office and the Masterton Library, and I'm going to be at the Masterton Library on the Tuesday and Thursday, so that hopefully I can speak to people that are, may be interested in finding out what it's all about, and giving out information.
So do you give a talk? Or is there a meeting point, or is it just being there for people to come and have a conversation with you?
Yeah, hopefully having people seeing us out in the community, they will, we can approach them, or they can approach us, obviously, and we can give them information. Yeah,
I'm going to be in Martinborough at the library on Wednesday.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, at Waihinga Centre. Yeah, so doing the same type of thing, promotion.
Yeah.
And
you've done this before?
The World Abuse Day?
Yes.
No.
Oh, this is new.
This is new.
Right.
Well, we just started working, both of us, in February for Age Concern.
Yes.
And so, it's new, so a little bit scary, but exciting as well. The theme, is, you said, is about koe and koroa, ko mātua. How do we respect them and value them? And so, exciting in that term, in those terms.
So will you be talking to the people from the newspaper, getting an article in the newspaper?
Yes, we do actually have a 2-page spread going in the Times Age, so that's going to be great. We do have a case study in there as well about a young man taking advantage of an elderly lady that needs some work around the house, and he ends up moving in with his girlfriend, and then saying that there's some more jobs that he can do for her, and she's very grateful of that. She gets the Wi-Fi connected for them, and then he decides that she might need to get out a personal loan to pay for the work he's doing around the property, and she's thinking, that sounds right. There's a certain type of grooming that goes along with this sort of environment. So that story will be a great read for some people, and some people may be able to identify with that happening in their own families.
Is that a local story?
It is. It's a national story. They've just changed names and things around. And very, families are overseas at the moment and can't come home. And in this story, one of the siblings, one of the children are actually overseas and can't do much about, things when that's happening in New Zealand. So, very, it's a very good story and very realistic because it is real. Yeah.
So do you find that you're referring people on sometimes when you get involved and you realise that there's a reasonably serious problem here and some professional help will be needed? And who would you refer people on to? I mean, obviously counselling is a part of what can help, but do you often...
Budgeting service as well. So
Idea?
Yep.
Yeah.
You go, whatever the need is, and we can see, because we only specialise, we don't specialise in everything. So we're developing really good networks around the community so that, talk to police. We have got what we call an advisory panel. So on that panel we have lawyers, we have WINS, we have doctors, we have nurses on that panel, the police as well. So we ask them also for where should we go to, because they are the experts. And that's what the role is for the advisory panel. And so they'll say, I think you should be doing this and this and this. Cool. So then we're able to move forward.
Yeah. Wow, so there's a lot to it, isn't there? And it can go in many directions.
It can go in many directions. It can go in many directions.
So is there a kind of a place people can come to get some training? If someone wants to be very responsible for the care of their older person, and they realise it's new territory, like the first baby in the house.
Yes.
Is there somewhere they can go to do a series of courses, or would we think of setting that up?
Yeah, not at this stage. A lot of of the inquiries that we get are around, mums living at home or dads living at home on their own. How can they get support with housework or cares or Meals on Wheels? Because a lot of people don't understand what is available for their older person.
Yeah.
A lot of our referrals, we go refer them back to their GP, because the GP amazingly has a lot of contact with those agencies such as Focus to assess that elderly person, are they okay in their home on their own. We want, and I think all health services want older people to be able to be in their homes for as long as possible, because that's their happy place. And so it's important that those other ways of assisting them to live there is quite a major role, and information around that we can pass on to those people as well.
And Focus are brilliant, aren't they?
They're amazing.
They're very quick at getting on to the
Yes.
referral, and they come back with really good ideas.
Yeah.
And the variety of things they can do is quite impressive. One sometimes is a little bit concerned about the level of resourcing that they have. That there's not quite enough money in the pot. And so they're kind of doing budgeting exercise even before they've started. So people are getting a couple of hours a week when they really need 6 to 8. They need someone coming in maybe 3 or 4 days a week, but the service can only offer 1 day a week. And that's a lot. It's a lot more than nothing. Yeah.
A lot more than nothing.
Yeah.
A safe space for everyone, including our koe and koroa, is what we're aiming at, a safe space. As Susan alluded to before, the research says that if a person is able to live, an older person is able to live with their families, they actually live a little bit longer.
Right. And the quality of life improves.
Yes.
So their health improves. So they're actually not going to cost so much to look after either.
We talked about...
So they're, to be hard-nosed about it.
Yeah.
There's an economic benefit for getting this stuff right too.
Yeah. And like you talked about before about gut health, okay?
Yeah.
And so, as we know, sometimes I don't feel like having a meal for tea, and you just eat a toast and a marmite or whatever, and a cup of tea. But that's not helpful for your health at all, your nutrition, as well as making sure that those bacteria are there to help with your cognitive ability.
Yeah. And people can learn about this stuff and go, oh, now I understand, rather than the old habits and what the hell, what's it matter at what I eat? Well, it really matters. And this is why. Yeah. And
it was really good what you did then was, I understand, because that's the awareness part.
Yes,
yes. And it's that light bulb moment. Yeah. And that's what we want to do when we promote this week, is have that light bulb moment for people saying, I didn't realise just doing this would be helpful for an older person.
Yeah. I think it's time for another song.
Yeah.
So I've got a very special friend of mine who wrote an album titled The Underwater Melon Man. This is Fane Flores' Underwater Melon Man, sung by Chris Knox.
He's really a most remarkable chap, an ingenious kind of a fella. He's invented the very first cactus tap and the wonderful desert umbrella. The desert umbrella.
Sounds like that was just a short introduction there from the Fane Floors album Underwater Melon Man. Chris Knox on vocals. Of course, Chris had quite a serious stroke and headed into the territory of being an older person quite young in life, and made a very good fist of recovering and adapting to it. So we all have our struggles with health as we get older, and it's really good to be able to talk about it, share it, and know that we are taken care of and that people are interested in our recovery. Not just how we are, but how we could become. But sometimes there's a lot of input needed for things to improve, and that input has to come from people who actually might have to make some sacrifices to be involved. Mum or dad need something else now, not just us popping in once a month.
That's right. That's right.
So, Anthony, you had a list of things you'd like to go over under the title of "We Can All Help to Prevent Elder Abuse and Neglect by..."
Well, first one here, and they're all really quite simple, but loving and cherishing older people. Loving and cherishing older people. I say that because, like, sometimes in our society, like if I take for instance the retirement age, 65, bam, you're retired, you have to move out now. That seems to be the social norm or the social thinking about age. And so, but where's the value in that? If I choose not to go, because a lot of times people say, well, the older people have to come up. You're doing them out of a job. And so you just throw me in. Loving and cherishing, just saying hello to a person. And as we talked about the smiles before.
Yes, yeah.
What does it do if you see a person smile? Yeah. What does it do for yourself?
Yes.
Yeah. And so it's that interaction as well, loving and cherishing your kurawa kuia, your older person.
The next one around phoning, Zooming or FaceTiming older people, I think we found, during our period of lockdown last year, a lot of people got involved in the Zooming, and even though it's not, having someone physically in front of you, you still have that facial communication, because we quite often, the smiling and the twinkling of the eyes and all those sorts of things are all about, that communication and creating that friendly environment. And, you can quite often see love in someone's eyes. You don't actually have to talk about it. So a lot of that sort of took part last year with people contacting their family and whānau over FaceTime. As well as visiting older people, because that's pretty important too.
And the visiting part isn't those that you are related to. The visiting part is those in your neighbourhood, in your community. Yeah. Like I took I got a garden and some fruit trees. So harvest time, go and take them to the people around the community, around our neighbourhood, and popping in now and then to those who I know who are older. And some of the comments are, I feel safe to know that you're around.
Yes.
And so what does that do for their own self-esteem, confidence, and security?
And they're more able to get out and mingle and move.
Yes.
And play a little bit.
And play a little. I like that. Remember, playing can encompass a whole lot of things.
Yes. Yeah.
And it doesn't mean to say that I'm older, I can't do it. It's just that I do it differently.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And you're involved. Yeah. And being encouraged. No, it's a good list, this. Susan, what do you find on your list next?
I love the idea about involving older people in our social activities. I think sometimes with older people having, they may not want to go out, or you actually make that decision. It's too cold for them to come out with us for dinner tonight because you need to be tucked up in your bed. But that's not giving them the opportunities to have those fun times with the family and whānau, and going out for birthday meals or things like that. It's great for them to have those those times where they can actually mingle with the family, listen to laughter, listen to old stories, and actually involve them in those stories as well, and in that conversation. You know, quite often older people, they might have issues with their hearing and stuff like that. Just making sure that, you know, their hearing aids are working okay on that day, because you know, they may not be able to hear the conversation. Not sitting them at the end of the table, sitting them in the, you know, in the group, and making sure that they, you know, you include them in those conversations. I think that's really important.
I think a hard one for people to do, and this is not just with the elderly people but with everyone, is to listen.
Yes.
Actively listen
Yes.
to what is being said.
Yes.
Instead of having in our own minds what we think we're hearing.
Yeah.
But actually listen to what they're actually saying.
And in a conversation, we can be very quick to express what we're thinking, what's been triggered off in our own minds,
Yes.
rather than waiting for the other person to finish what they have to say, which might actually move on from where we want to start talking. And that's hard for some older people to be cut off, having, you know, their conversation, their attempt at communicating cut off, interrupted before they've finished. And eventually they could be sitting in the corner just saying nothing because it's too hard.
It's exactly right. They lose their voice.
Yeah.
They lose the confidence in to be able to communicate. Oh, well, they're not listening anyway, so why bother? And so that's really sad. That's really sad.
And I think asking them that question, you know, how do you feel about that, Mum? You know, what are the things that are important for you? And actually the cutting off thing, I think in our lives, we are always in a hurry, and we need to remember, if we're going to go and visit an older relative or parent, we need to actually, you know, not be rushing in for 20 minutes, because 20 minutes is not long enough to actually, you know, give them your full attention for that period. You know, 2 hours is probably a good time, so that you're not rushing, you're not cutting off their conversation, you're actually going there to visit and listen to them, and not, you know, the other way around.
To hang out for a while.
Yes, exactly.
Chill.
Yeah. I like that, to chill, because as Susan alluded to, we move, that's wrong. Sometimes older people move slower than us. And it's not only in the walking. It's not only in the walking. And so we need to take a step back, sit down, and just go, hey, just let them take it at their own speed. Because I've come to see them and honour them. It's not sometimes we look at it as, I need to do this, instead of saying, you know, I'd like to spend time. We find it as a duty instead of as a care.
And even something that we're getting something from. We're benefiting from it. Actually, if we dig in a bit deeper, it's good for us.
I remember my aunt, I did not like going to visit her, because I knew that if I asked one question, I'd be there for an hour or two. But in that hour and two, I would have learnt more than just asking my question, because it gave me a background to the answer. And so that's what I needed to learn. There's more than just the answer. It's about how I got to the answer. That's, you know, we did that in like maths. Instead of having we changed from long division to short division. But we didn't know the process in the short division, but we knew it in the long one. We could understand it better, and it's the same.
Good. So we're travelling through your list here, Susan and Anthony.
I think it's also really important, you know, like for an older person, if they're coming to visit you, or you've picked them up to come around for a meal or something, quite often they don't want to just be sitting down. They want to be helping you, and you know, when you're in your rush, you're like, oh no, I don't want them in the kitchen, they're too slow, but actually valuing that, you know, including them in those sorts of things, because that makes them, or helps them feel valued in your family as well. And you know, older people don't want to be sitting down having cups of tea served on them. They want to actually be be making the cup of tea or
yes.
be doing. That's how older people
Yeah.
have been their whole lives. They've always been supporting you and your family, and they want to continue with that as they get older.
Yeah.
You know, something that was really cool example was my girl wanted to make a gravy, so she got one of those boxes of gravy.
Yes.
You know, I don't know which box it was, but she made it with it. And my mum said, "I'll show you how to make gravy the old way, the way that I was taught."
Yes.
And so she did, made a roux out with the fat and stuff, with the juice of the meat,
Yeah.
and did it that way. And my girl learned something. It didn't come from a box.
No.
No,
Exactly.
this is, if you haven't got the box, you can do it like this.
Yes.
Yeah, so all those little things that sometimes, because of technology, we've forgotten.
Yes.
But it's still good, and we found that in COVID.
Yeah.
You know, when there was a lot of baking and that stuff being done.
Yeah.
Yeah, those old ways, actually, they're
Yeah.
still relevant,
Yes.
and they're a treasure. Yeah.
So it's a wonderful thing, isn't it, that we've got older people in our
Yes.
community, and we take it for granted a bit, and we sometimes concentrate on the negatives and the worries and the burden, as it were, but that's a very small part of it. You know, the real treasure is in the being of the person and their history and their knowledge and their love and what they've been able to transform in their lives, and then they can help us transform the things that we're finding difficult. Yeah.
I got this other proverb that was said to me. My scars are well earned, they cannot be hid. Do what I learned, not what I did.
Yes, exactly. Hey, it's been great to have you here, and I'm just thinking, looking at the list of things that you've got on, you've mentioned the libraries, you didn't mention the coffee in Carterton on Wednesday, but I'm thinking we should have a coffee on Friday at Coco in the park.
All right.
Because I can be there. I have Fridays off, except later in the day I'm getting my band set up, and we're playing a gig there that night at Coco. And we're all pretty old, you know. I mean, 3 of us are over 70,
Wow.
and the rest are over 60, I think.
Was that the...
Apart from Sully, who's probably is only 50, but he's the young
to
one.
join the Highwaymen?
Yeah.
It was Willie Nelson.
Johnny Cash,
Yep.
Chris Christopherson, and Waylon Jennings.
Well, they're looking for another one because, sadly to say, we know that Johnny has passed away.
Yes.
So you audition.
It could be the audition for the Highwaymen. They might just turn up. They might hear what we're doing. We could bring our guitars to the coffee session. Yeah, but seriously, if you feel like doing something at the end of that week, and you've got a few people who haven't been able to get to the other things and they turn up late, or just say, look, we are going to get together, say, 11 o'clock
And no.
on the Friday. No. We'll still be there. Actually, we will be packing up at 11 o'clock that night. But that's us. We don't want any other people there. That's our time.
Okay.
But 11 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
Coco. Just as a thought.
Yeah, thanks for that.
Yeah.
Thanks for that, Rod.
Yeah. So we wish you well and with your work in general too, because I think it's wonderful that we've got a really active age concern in Masterton and in the Wairarapa.
Yeah. Well, it's part of our theme, aging with attitude.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And we've got time to develop it.
We do.
We can sit and think about it.
Yeah.
What attitude shall I have today?
Yeah.
We can explore different attitudes.
We'd sort of just like to say also that Age Concern does have great activities for over 65s. You can become a member of Age Concern and go to coffee mornings and trips once a month.
Yeah.
And there's lots of other activities. We do mobility cards there for people that have maybe lost their licence.
Yeah.
So
Strength and balance classes?
yes, strength and balance classes, which are great because it's a socialisation as well as the physical as well. Yeah, so please feel free to contact us and maybe ask around what other things, if you think there is a lack of something for older people to do, just let us know and we'll try and pop that into our activities.
Brilliant.
Yeah, so.
Yeah.
We do have a magazine too, a quarterly magazine.
Uh-huh.
Yep. So
Quarterly. Yep. And who contributes to that?
anyone who, we've got a lot of articles that we've put in ourselves. We've got Whai Ora, they're putting in an ad in there, and other sponsors as well. So just to let know what's going on in the region for older people. Yeah. So
Brilliant.
It'll be great.
Well, I thought we might go out with a Mick Jagger and Keith Richards song.
Okay.
And this is played by a band called Family Meeting.
That's
And it includes a wonderful guitarist whose name is Mick Taylor. So here's Family Meeting playing Can't You Hear Me Knocking? That was Family Meeting with Can't You Hear Me Knocking, instrumental version, Mick Taylor on guitar, and Tour Berglund on saxophone. Wasn't that spectacular? Lovely to hear the sax this time in the day. And what a beautiful day it is, looking out the bedroom door this morning before I came down to the studio. There was just this glorious, clear sunrise on the eastern horizon. Beautiful colours taking over from the blue and the indigo of the night. We've got another special day in the Wairarapa, and it was lovely to have Susan and Anthony with me in the studio. Now, I have got time for a few events that I'd like to tell you about, what's coming up in the coming week. So on Saturday, there is the semi-final of Talent Wairarapa, which is going to be at Kuranui College. It's the second semi-final for the Talent Wairarapa 2021, featuring 7 acts from the 14 and under category. And it's this is the third running of Talent Wairarapa, with the 2020 event unfortunately lost to COVID. The first semi-final was at Makora College on Saturday, May the 29th, and the grand finale is at the Carterton Event Centre on Saturday, June the 12th. So please put those events on your calendar, especially you young folk, and get along and support your budding musical mates. Matariki, Work of the Gods. This is an event at Stonehenge, Aotearoa, also on this Saturday, the 5th of June, 7 until 8:15. Adults $23, seniors $18. This is an event where Richard will be giving you a talk, and then you'll be going out to look at the night sky in the wonderful environment of Stonehenge. And there's quite a story that goes with their presentation of the work of the gods, which I haven't quite got time to go into, but you will find out all about that if you ring 0800 289 849, 0800 289 849. You can book a ticket, and you can find out exactly what the program entails. That's on this Saturday night. And then on Friday, the night before, which is actually tomorrow night, there is the Wairarapa Tirama Matariki Light Glow, and that's at Queen Elizabeth Park in the island. It actually starts on Friday and it goes through till Sunday from 5 until 8, each of those evenings, Friday, Saturday and Sunday. It's part of Matariki Events 2021. You can explore fairy light walkways, drawing inspiration from the 9 stars of Matariki to celebrate the harvest, give thanks for our kai, and remember loved ones. There's a gold coin donation, and you can have a fun ride on the train. And the proceeds will go to the Masterton Miniature Railway Society. The funding for this event, Wairarapa Tirama Matariki Light Glow, is by Trust House, Ngāti Kahanunu Iwi Inc., Kahanuni Ki Wairarapa, the Wairarapa Times Age, and Te Puni Kokori. One other event that might interest you, particularly people who like to hoard a little bit, or if you're decluttering and getting rid of your hoarding, there is the Riversdale Beach Garage Sale, which is on Saturday, the 5th of June. That's this weekend coming, from 8 in the morning until midday. It's the inaugural Riversdale Beach Village Garage Sale, which obviously will be at Riversdale Beach. There's no cost. Just ask that everyone who intends having a garage sale, they register with RBRA. So to register, you contact Riversdale Beach RA at gmail.com. That's Riversdale with a capital R, Beach with a capital B, R, capital R, and then capital A at gmail.com. And you get a message to them by yesterday. But anyway, I'm sure they'll accept late starters for that. Another event that's coming up this weekend on Sunday is Foraging for Edible Foods Workshop. This is at the New Forest School at 791 Mickey Road, Masterton. That's out north off State Highway 2. You turn off at Mickey onto Mickey Road. Right at the end of it, Yop and Heller's is their wonderful property where they have the New Forest School. So from 10 o'clock in the morning until midday, they're running the Foraging for Edible Foods workshop. In fact, they call edible foods are called edible weeds. Join Felicity with a wander around the Forest School. Borders on a native bush reserve near Masterton. And you'll learn about commonly found wild edible weeds. By the end of the workshop, you'll be understanding the basic principles of foraging, including sustainable harvesting. You'll feel confident in identifying 10 to 15 wild edible plants. You'll know about their nutritional and medicinal effects. You'll know about common toxic, dangerous plants to avoid when foraging. You'll know about the best ways to prepare your foraged greens for maximum nutritional benefit and flavour. And you'll feel empowered to include foraged greens in your everyday diet. It looks like there's a cost of $55, and that includes the Wild Week walk and discussion, a cup of herbal tea, a foraged wild taster, and that varies from season to season. And there's a Facebook site and an Instagram site for homegrown botanica. So that might interest some of you. I'm sure it'll be very interesting. I've got a lot of information about it, and I'm afraid that's all I've got time for. So, edible weeds at the Forest School on the end of Mickey Road on Sunday. I think I would recommend that if you haven't got anything better to do, 10 o'clock on Sunday. Just going through some other events that are coming up. There is the wonderful pop-up shop in Queen Street, Masterton, where the spinners, weavers and knitters are on display with their work, and they are selling the most amazing range of knitwear. Hats, gloves, jerseys, etc. And they'll be showing you how to do it. They're in there with their smiles, mostly older women. And I think Lindley, who was here talking to me 2 weeks ago, will be there on Thursday, today. She's there today. So look out for Lindley Brown, who's a wonderful spinner. That goes through for another week. So it's this week's the second week. It's this week the first week. This week's the second week, I think, and next week will be the third week. Next door to Headley's Bookshop on Queen Street. So what are some of the things coming up, just generally speaking? Well, you know all about the events page in the midweek. That's where I get some of my information. And I would like to highlight the Wairarapa Genealogy Branch, which is in Queen Street at the Wairarapa Archive, Family History Research Rooms. It's open from 1 to 4 p.m. 5 days a week, but it's particularly open on Thursday. Research assistance is available if required, and they do accept donations. So if you want to find out more of what has happened in your family or in the district, check out Wairarapa Genealogy Branch at the Wairarapa Archive, and it is open on Thursday from 1 to 4 p.m. there are other activities at Wairarapa Archive which you might enjoy to join in with as well. Digital Seniors, they meet in Martinborough at the St Andrew's Church and in Featherston at the Union Church. So today, 9:30 to 11 at the St Andrew's Church in Martinborough, and in Featherston from 1:30 to 3:30. And this is a free one-on-one computer, tablet and smartphone advice and coaching service. So if you want to learn more about how to use those very complex, confusing and even disturbing devices called cell phones, and you might have progressed to have a laptop or a tablet but haven't got a clue how to do anything with it, head down to Digital Seniors. Is there a phone number? Yeah, take a note of the phone number, 0800 373 646. I'm out of time, folks. I'm sorry. So have a lovely weekend ahead and the next week or so. Thank you for Michael for taking the show last week. That was wonderful. I thought his interview with Mary was fantastic. It was lovely to see both sides of the story and a non-emotional discussion of a very tricky topic that's affecting us all. Anyway, bye for now. Blessings to you all.